sandwiches, ice cream, coffee and snacks, and many other pleasing treats. Our foods are fresh and tasty, our drinks satisfying and refreshing. They're so good.
Welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In.
And now, on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In. I am your host, TJ Washburn. This is episode number 46, and this is a Reviewcast. This is the first Reviewcast I have done in a couple of weeks. I've been sick, and I've just been busy. A lot of stuff going on, so I just haven't really had the extra time to sit down, or haven't been feeling well enough to sit down and do a extra podcast. But I have been watching a pile of movies the last few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and I have been trying to catch up on films from 2017, stuff I didn't see, and I also watched a few that were one from this year and one that was a 2016 release, but it came out actually, it came out actually in 2016, but I don't believe it got released in the States until 2017. So I'm going to get that one out of the way first, and that is The Girl with All the Gifts.
Rise and shine. Come on, up you get. Transit. On the move.
Hello, Dr. Caldwell.
Hello, Melanie.
Morning, class. Good morning, Miss Justina. Once upon a time, there was a woman. The most beautiful and amazing woman in all the world.
No, you just touched her. Watch.
No, please, don't do that. They're only children. Stop it!
One day, she was attacked by a monster. But then a girl came running up and killed it. And the woman said, "Melanie! You are my special girl, and I'll never let you go."
She saved me, and you're still afraid of her?
Yeah, and you should be too.
I am producing a vaccine, and she is the main ingredient.
What am I?
Hope.
That's what you are.
I just want to live. Everyone wants that.
She loves you. The hell is this?
The world is falling apart.
You can save people, Melanie. You can save everybody. Oh my God.
What did you do?
This film was directed by Colm McCarthy, has a runtime of 111 minutes, it's rated R, stars Seni Nasuo, Fisayo Akinada, and Dominique Tipper. I watched this one on Amazon Prime. I'm sorry if I butchered those names. The synopsis. In the future, a strange fungus has changed nearly everyone into a thoughtless, flesh-eating monster. When a scientist and a teacher find a girl who seems to be immune to the fungus, they all begin a journey to save humanity. This one I've had on my queue since it first popped up on Amazon Prime, but I hadn't got around to watching. I've heard good things for the most part from the people I know that have seen it. For one reason or the other, it's just taken me almost a year to finally watch this, because this one popped up, I remember, on Prime like right at the start of 2017, and like I said, it looked interesting enough. But I'll be honest, I'm kind of burned out on the modern zombie film a little bit, so I think that's part of the reason I haven't. It took me so long to get around to this one. First of all, this isn't your typical zombie movie. It's more of a drama than an action or horror. While it does have those elements in there, they aren't the main focus of the film. This is more along the lines of 28 Days Later than, say, a film like Night of the Living Dead as far as the zombie portion of the film goes. Stylistically, it's very well shot, the performances are excellent, and the relationship between the characters is well done. It's a very interesting take on a genre that's been rather oversaturated with knockoffs and copycat type ideas for the last decade, to be honest. Not that those are all bad films by any means, but this is certainly a breath of fresh air. If you are a fan of the video game The Last of Us, I think you'd rather enjoy this. I felt like it was a very similar feel to that. This is a film that focuses on story, and because of that, it does move along rather slowly. If you're looking for a lot of gore and action, you might not find this one as interesting. Don't go into it thinking, as I said, that it's a typical zombie film. I think if you have an open mind, you'll rather enjoy this one. My rating on this was a 7.5 out of 10. The average IMDb rating was a 6.7 out of 10. So up next is 2017's just simply Jungle.
I was desperate to escape the well-worn path. Work, marriage, kids. Not me. I wanted to experience the extraordinary, which is why I ended up in the jungle.
This is my friend, Josip Ginsberg. Good to meet you. Good to meet you too.
I told my parents I'd be back in a year, but I don't think I'm ever going back.
There's nothing like the jungle at night. Insects, birds, it's like they're screaming at you. And then suddenly, it's just you and whatever you came looking for.
Do you want to be like every other tourist? Anybody can go to Machu Picchu. But the jungle, this guy can take us there.
How do you know that Carl is telling the truth?
That's why you're here. The hidden world.
Perfectly balanced. The problem is us with the cancer.
Carl, what are you doing?
The only guy who knows where we are and what we're going to do, and he just walked away.
Carl! Stop! Follow the river!
You have a map, and people are coming to save you. All you have to do is keep going. And going, and going. And going. And going, and going, and going. And going, and going, and going. And going, and going, and going.
This film was directed by Greg McLean, has a runtime of 115 minutes, it's rated R, stars Daniel Radcliffe, Alex Russell, and Thomas Kreischman. I watched this one on Amazon Prime. Synopsis. A mysterious guide escorts an enthusiastic adventurer and his friends into the Amazon jungle. Their journey turns into a terrifying ordeal as the darkest elements of human nature and the deadliest threats of the wild force them to fight for survival. I knew nothing about this one. Even the synopsis wasn't anything really eye-catching. I don't think I'd have even heard anyone talk about this one yet when I watched it. But I noticed it was new on Amazon Prime, so I figured, what the hell, might be worth checking out. I am happy to say that I enjoyed the hell out of this. It's a very slow-moving story, but very well shot. The acting is fantastic and sucks you right in. Come to find out, this is based on a true story, which makes it that much more interesting. I love it when you find something like this and you have zero expectations about it and end up enjoying it. Daniel Radcliffe turns in a fantastic performance as Yossi. His performance really takes you through the emotions the character's going through. It was one of the biggest things that stood out to me in this film, and truthfully, it's what sold the film as far as my enjoyment of it. While the film does have some issues, it takes a bit to get going, and I feel like some time could have been cut out of the last half of the film. It's damn solid overall. I'm glad I gave this one a chance. While this movie certainly won't be for everyone, if you're in the mood for a good story, give this one a chance and check it out. If you like, survival type stories, this might be right up your alley. My rating on this was an 8 out of 10. The average IMDb rating on this one was a 6.7 out of 10. Up next is one that, I had kind of forgotten about, and that is 2017's Life.
No man can fully grasp how far and how fast we have come. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind. And its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again.
That's it.
The mission's primary goal has been achieved. We're looking at a large single cell, biological. I'd hate to jump the gun, but I think it's time. We're looking at the first proof of life beyond Earth.
You finally a daddy? It's gonna be a big custody battle over this one.
It's beautiful.
You!
No, you're not going to.
Get your goddamn hand off!
What are we going to do? He's out the and your
As we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. This nation will continue to be a pioneer in the new frontier of space.
This film was directed by Daniel Espinosa, has a runtime of 104 minutes, rated R, stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson, and Ryan Reynolds. I watched this one on Blu-ray. Synopsis. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station are on the cutting edge of one of the most important discoveries in human history. The first evidence of extraterrestrial life on Mars. As members of the crew conduct their research, the rapidly evolving life form proves far more intelligent and terrifying than anyone could have imagined. I remember being very excited for this when I saw the trailer. Then it kind of came and went, and I honestly had forgotten about it up until a few weeks ago, when it was brought up to me in a conversation. It seemed really strange this film just sort of fell off the radar for me. They spoke rather highly of it, so now that my memory had been jogged, I went and found a very cheap copy on Blu-ray, and I had it for viewing. I rather liked it. I wasn't blown away, but it was a very serviceable, middle-of-the-road sci-fi film. I'm okay with that. Too often it seems like they're one extreme or the other, really bad or really good. I tend to be a little more forgiving with sci-fi and horror than I do other genres, and I know this one won't be for everyone. There are a few decent gore-type scenes as well. I didn't find them to be too gory, but it may be a bit much for some people, especially if you're not used to that sort of thing. It's not super slow, but it does move along at a rather leisurely pace. The acting is solid, but there weren't any performances that wowed me, which was kind of surprising with the cast. I didn't have any major issues with the effects. For the most part, it's a very contained film. It takes place in a small area of the space station the crew is working on. Story-wise, there are a few things that hurt me, but they weren't anything that kept me from enjoying the film. I just feel like things could have been built up a bit more. I often bitch about films being too long, but this is one of those rare cases. I would have liked to have seen another maybe 10-15 minutes of character development before the shit hits the fan. Overall, I was entertained. I'm glad I watched it, and I'm sure I'll view it again before too long, just to give it another go and formulate a better opinion. I think this is definitely one of those films I'm going to have to watch a few times before I truly know where I stand with it. But for now, I give it a passing thumbs up. My rating for this was a 6 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 6.6 out of 10. Up next for me is a film that I knew nothing about, and that is 2017's Logan Lucky.
Jimmy, I'm just gonna say it. I gotta let you go.
You were just fired.
I was let go for liability reasons involving insurance.
The one-armed bartender.
You need to show a little respect. Charlotte Motor Speedway. I know how they move the money.
The only guy who knows anything about blowing up real bank vaults is Joe Bang.
I am incarcerated. Yeah, we got a plan to get you out.
The Coca-Cola 600 is the biggest race of the year.
We need a computer whiz.
I know everything there is to know about computers, okay? All the Twitters, I know them.
Welcome to the Coca-Cola 600.
How many yards away is the vault?
20 yards. I don't know, maybe 30.
Is it 20 or is it 30? We are dealing with science here.
They're gonna know what we want them to know.
My life of crime is over.
That is massively stupid.
It's been handled.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
That looks like it hurt.
I want everything on Jimmy Logan.
I'm about to get naked. So no bacon. I said no bacon.
You Logans mustn't be as simple-minded as people say.
People say that.
Would you give me my arm, please?
Is it this one?
The film was directed by Steven Soderbergh, has a runtime of 118 minutes, rated PG-13, stars Channing Tatum, Adam Driver, and Daniel Craig. I watched this one on DVD. Synopsis. West Virginia family man Jimmy Logan teams up with his one-armed brother Clyde and sister Mellie to steal money from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina. Jimmy also recruits demolition expert Joe Bang to help them break into the track's underground system. Complications arise when a mix-up forces a crew to pull off the heist during a popular NASCAR race, while also trying to dodge a relentless FBI agent. I actually had no desire to watch this film for two specific reasons. One, before I knew anything about it, I thought it was a racing movie because of the cover art I saw for it. Two, because once I found out what it was about, I'm not really a heist film type of person. Once in a while, those types of films will catch my attention, but it's rare. Rarer than a Yule Bowl film being tolerable. That right there should tell you something. I went into this film with zero expectations. I only watched it because a buddy of mine threw it on after we got done watching the Super Bowl. This actually wasn't a bad film. While I didn't love it, I thought it was enjoyable enough. There were plenty of lighthearted comedic moments that kept me laughing. The cast was excellent. Adam Driver, Channing Tatum, and Daniel Craig were awesome. It was worth it for Craig's accent alone. The story was interesting enough. As a buddy of mine put it, a redneck Ocean's 11, which makes complete sense seeing it was directed by Steven Soderbergh. For a film I had zero expectations about, I'm glad I watched it. I'll probably be one and done for me. But who knows, maybe if an opportunity to pick it up cheap comes up or it lands on one of the streaming services, I'll give it another go. It's definitely worth a watch. My rating for this one was a 6 out of 10. The IMDb rating on this one was a 7.1 out of 10. Next up is one from this year, and it kind of dropped out of nowhere. And for the most part, I don't think most people even knew this one was coming, and that is the Cloverfield Paradox.
Three.
Morning, beautiful.
Two.
I'm getting sick of only seeing you on a screen.
One.
Please, God. Be on our side.
Standing by for your go.
Turn that shit on.
Fingers crossed.
It's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know what you do? What the hell is happening? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there.
The Earth. It's gone.
It's big, blue, full of angry people. Keep looking, you'll find it.
My God.
This one was directed by Julius Ona, has a runtime of 102 minutes, rated TV MA, starring Gugu Mbatha-Raw, David Oyelowo, and Daniel Bruhl. I watched this one on Netflix. Synopsis: set in the near future, this centers on a team of astronauts on a space station making a terrifying discovery that challenges all they know about the fabric of reality as they desperately fight for survival. As I said, this one kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it, and boom, there it was on Netflix. Now, not only do we get this, but it also looks like we'll be getting a fourth Cloverfield film this year. So no complaints whatsoever on that front. I honestly wish more films would just kind of drop like this. It's a nice surprise. It doesn't give people time to overanalyze every little thing about it before they even see it, which is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I often think it ruins the enjoyment of the film because people just nitpick it to death before they ever even actually seen the film. One thing I like about the first two Cloverfield films was the fact they both had their own voice but were connected, even if it was just loosely. Each film was able to stand out on its own without needing to even reference the other film. While technically a prequel to those films, the Cloverfield Paradox follows that mantra and follows its own path. I'll do my best to keep this review spoiler-free. The best way I can describe this film is a slow-burn sci-fi with elements that almost border on being a mystery as the crew tries to figure out what's going on. There are multiple storylines going on, but I didn't have any issue following it. I thought it was well connected and contained. Much like 10 Cloverfield Lane, the tie into the other two films isn't in your face, but subtle. I thought the acting and effects were solid. Everything on the technical side of things easily earned a passing grade. Where the film loses a few points for me are on the story side of things. Either I missed earlier hints or they simply weren't there. I won't know until I watch this a second time. I don't mind a slow burn, but the pacing in this film felt a little off for some reason, especially in the first part of the film. I can't really quite put my finger on that part, but the feeling was definitely there. And I kind of wonder if it's one of those deals where maybe some stuff was cut out, or, you know, they were just trying to get a shorter runtime or something. I don't know. But it was kind of weird, and I'm not sure. I'd be curious to see, and hear from some other people that have seen this one if they felt kind of the same way. Overall, it's a solid sci-fi film. I didn't like it as much as the first two, but it was certainly enjoyable. I still say 10 Cloverfield Lane is the best of the series. Again, as I said earlier, you almost have to view each film in this series as its own thing, even though they loosely tie together. This is definitely worth a watch, regardless of what you think of the other two films. It's a solid sci-fi entry on its own. My rating for this one was a 6.5 out of 10. The IMDb rating was a 5.9 out of 10. So, we're going to get into one that I've been on a tear with this series lately, and I was pretty excited to check this one out. And that is 2017's Victor Crowley.
Oh! Sue, get back to the boat. Run back to the boat right now, Sue! What? What?
We're about to meet the only guy to ever see Victor Crowley and live to tell about it.
They take us and a small camera crew and a host, and they fly us in the private network jet.
Okay, I've told you 1,000 times, I'm never going back to that swamp.
They offered $600,000.
Apologies. We had a minor issue with our right engine.
Would you like Xanax, Ambien, Valium, Oxy? I've got heavier stuff if you want.
Hey, there's people out there, thank God!
Your plane has crashed. We're gonna get you all help.
That thing in the woods is death itself, and it's coming for all of us.
Look, see? I don't even think it's a motion sensor. I think it's on a timer.
She's coming back! Yes!
Austin's dead.
Dude, I'm right here.
Austin's alive.
Go to hell, you ugly bastard!
We are so dead.
The film was directed by Adam Green, has a runtime of 93 minutes, it's not rated, stars Perry Shen, Kane Hodder, and Laura Ortiz. I watched this one on Blu-ray. Synopsis. In 2007, over 40 people were brutally torn to pieces in Louisiana's Honey Island swamp. Over the past decade, lone survivor Andrew claims their local legend Victor Crowley was responsible for the horrific massacre have been met with great controversy. But when a twist of fate puts him back in the scene of the tragedy, Crowley is mistakenly resurrected and Andrew must face the bloodthirsty ghost from the past. I, like a lot of people, were caught off guard by the announcement of a new entry into the Hatchet series. It came out of left field, which was done on purpose by director Adam Green. He wanted it to be a surprise for the fans, so needless to say, I was excited to check it out. At this point, you pretty much know what to expect with these films. They're a more modern homage to older 80s splatter slasher films. But what sets them apart from other modern-day horror franchises is the fact they have a lot of dark humor thrown in. They're also over-the-top gory, which you don't often see these days. Most of the films that are trying to go 80s style just don't cut the mustard because they either don't have the budgets to do the super gory effects, or they do use CGI or whatever. And that's one thing I pretty much adore about the Hatchet films is they kind of do it old school, and it usually looks good. What impresses me the most about this film was the fact they had good reason for getting the characters to go where they were going. It wasn't just another rehashing of the first three films story-wise. It provided a modern twist to how and why things happen, which I really liked. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll leave it at that. There's plenty of gore, it's fast-paced, and it doesn't pull any punches. If you like the first 3 films, I think you'll enjoy the hell out of this one. I think this is easily the best entry in the series since the first film. I'm glad I picked it up. It's nice to see a director carrying the torch of these old-school style horror films and adding a new touch, keeping the subgenre alive. My rating on this one was a 7 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 6 out of 10. So, this one was one I missed in the theater and I had every intention of going seeing, and that is 2017's Justice League. Yeah!
We have to be ready. You, me, the others. There's an attack coming from far away.
Not coming, Bruce. It's already here. The others. Where are they?
Arthur Curry, the Aquaman. It's on him.
Organic and biomechatronic body parts. He's a cyborg.
You should probably move.
Barry Allen. Whoever you're looking for, it's not me. You're the Batman?
They said the age of heroes would never come again.
It has to.
What are your superpowers again?
I'm rich.
One thing I can tell you is you got to be free.
My turn.
Come together.
Shall we?
It's good to see you playing well with others again. Just like a bat. I dig it. Maybe temporary.
The film was directed by Zack Snyder, has a runtime of 120 minutes, rated PG-13, stars Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, Henry Cavill, and Ray Fisher. I watched this one on Vudu in 4K. Synopsis. Fueled by his restored faith in humanity and inspired by Superman's selfless act, Bruce Wayne enlists the help of his newfound ally, Diana Prince, to face an even greater enemy. Together, Batman and Wonder Woman work quickly to find and recruit a team of metahumans to stand against the newly awakened threat. But despite the formation of this unprecedented league of heroes, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and the Flash, it may already be too late to save the planet from an assault of catastrophic proportions. I finally got a chance to watch Justice League. I had heard mostly mixed reviews of it by almost everyone I know who'd seen it. No one seemed to hate it, but there were certain things about it that they didn't care for, so I was curious to see where I would stand. First of all, I thought this was a big improvement over Batman vs. Superman. While I didn't flat out hate that film like some other people did, I thought it had a lot of issues. With Justice League, what they got right, they nailed it on the head. I thought the film looked absolutely gorgeous. There were some good lighthearted moments between the team, the casting was perfect, and I thought each character was represented well in the film. It really didn't feel like any of them were just there as a set piece. The CGI looked stunning. I didn't have any issues there, and for a movie that was nearly 2 hours long, it moved along quickly. The only glaring issue I felt was present with this one was the script. It almost seemed like it was rushed too much. that there were pivotal moments missing. I felt like it was one of those situations where there was either a lot of studio interference and things get omitted or changed, or they rushed it to get it out to keep up with the Joneses, aka Marvel. It's hard to tell. As with almost everything DC related, I'm betting it was probably more of the studio interference side of things. It doesn't seem like they know enough to let the people who love the comics and the characters do their thing. I feel on the whole, that's why the Marvel films have been more successful. What I felt it really boiled down to was this was actually a really fun film. I'll be honest, I think I had more fun with this film than I have almost any superhero movie in recent memory. Maybe Thor Ragnarok come pretty close, but while there have been better films in terms of sheer fun, this one is right up there. I'm going to make this one part of my collection at some point. Give it a chance to see it if you haven't yet. I think you may be pleasantly surprised. Honestly, I would be psyched to see solo films by other characters now, because of the way they've established them with this film. That wasn't really so much the case before. My rating on this one was a 7 out of 10. The IMDb rating on this one is a 6 out of 10. So I have 2 reviews left to do, but this is the last film review. And I wanted to save this one last for a reason, because, this was an amazing film, and it's getting a lot of love and accolades, and that is 2017's Get Out.
You got your toothbrush?
Check.
Do you have your deodorant?
Check.
Do you have your cozy clothes?
Got that.
What?
Do they know I'm black?
Should they?
You might wanna,
Mom and Dad, my black boyfriend will be coming up this weekend. I just don't want you to be shocked that he's a black man.
I ain't never seen you like this before, bruh. Meeting families and taking road trips. Don't come back all bougie, man. Come back, get your damn pants up to your damn stomach.
So you guys coming up from the city?
Yeah, we're just heading up for the weekend.
Can I see your license, please?
He wasn't driving.
I didn't ask who was driving. I asked to see his ID.
Call me Dean and hug me, my man.
So how long has this been going on, this thing? We hired Georgina and Walter to help care for my parents. When they died, I couldn't bear to let them go. Do you smoke in front of my daughter?
I'm gonna quit.
She'd take care of that for you.
How?
Hypnosis.
I'm good, actually.
You ready for this?
How bad can it be?
So look, I go do my research. Apparently, a whole bunch of brothers been missing in this suburb.
But it's cool.
Bro, how you not scared of this, man?
Good to see another brother around here.
Chris was just telling me how he felt much more comfortable with my being here. Get out.
Sorry, man.
Get out! Yo!
Rose, we gotta go.
Is everything okay?
Rose, the keys. Just get the keys.
I don't know where they are.
Rose! Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
Mine is a terrible thing to waste. Terrible thing to waste. If there's too many white people, I get nervous.
No.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
This film was directed by Jordan Peele, has a runtime of 104 minutes, rated R, stars Daniel Kaluuya, Allison Williams, and Bradley Whitford. I watched this one on Blu-ray. Synopsis. Now that Chris and his girlfriend Rose have reached the meet the parents milestone of dating, she invites him for a weekend getaway upstate with Missy and Dean. At first, Chris reads the family's overly accommodating behavior as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter's interracial relationship. But as the weekend progresses, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries lead him to a truth that he never could have imagined. I've heard a lot of good things about this film last year. I hadn't really heard anything bad from anyone that saw it. It's been at the top of my film list to view for a while, but it's also one of those movies I wanted to be in the right frame of mind and mood to view. I'm weird with that sort of thing when it comes to the psychological thriller type films. They're definitely not the type of horror subgenre I often go to. Don't get me wrong, I do like them, but again, I have to be in the right frame of mind to view them. They're not just, something I want to throw on when I want to relax or, don't want to have to think a lot. Which, for me, if you've been listening to the show for a while, more often than not, that's the case with me. This one starts off a little slow. Halfway through, I was asking myself, what the hell's going on? This better pick up some speed soon. Sure, there were some odd moments here and there that began to make you question what was going on, but there really wasn't anything that made you go, holy shit, this is what's happening? Once it gets to that moment where the things start to reveal themselves, that holy shit moment is in full effect. I'm not going to spoil it, but wow. Now, I know why everyone was talking so highly of this film. It's a well-crafted piece of cinema. While I wouldn't consider it a horror, it's definitely more of a psychological thriller. The horror that's there isn't from blood and gore, but the situation in hand Chris has dealt. There's also a few laugh-out-loud scenes in this film, which I wasn't expecting. Daniel Kaluuya and Allison Williams and Lil Ray Howery deliver exceptional performances. The whole main cast was great, but those three really stood out. The cinematography in this film is fantastic. The score fits the tone and mood of the film perfectly. This is one of those cases where I think the film fully deserves the accolades it's getting. I could honestly give two shits less about the Academy Awards, but I'm glad this got some nods. Kudos to Jordan Peele. I cannot wait to see what he does next. My rating on this one is an 8.5 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 7.7 out of 10. And last but not least, I wanted to end the show with a TV show that I have been following, and I love it, and I just finished up season 4, and that is Z Nation.
Welcome to Zona. Bitchin', right?
It is the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
There's an outpost in the north, and they're all heading there.
Are they even zombies?
No, something else. We don't know what yet.
These visions that you're having, don't ignore them.
You are leading us deeper into the bowels of zombie hell.
I think somebody needs a hug.
Follow the rainbow. You know the way. It burns.
There was 13 episodes in season 4, which was from 2017. It's rated TV 14, stars Russell Hodgkin, Nate Zhang, Keith Ellen, and Kalita Smith. The average episode runtime is about 42 to 45 minutes. I've thoroughly enjoyed Z Nation since I first started watching it a few years ago. It's the low-budget B-movie answer to the seriousness of The Walking Dead. Z Nation is cheesy, fun, and dare I even say full of heart. I know a lot of people loathe the Asylum and the films they put out, and I'll agree that more often than not, they put out crap. Once in a while, like most of the Sharknado movies, they get it right. Z Nation is a prime example of them getting it right and then some. I'll honestly say I think Z Nation is probably the best thing they've done. When I start each season, I wonder if it's going to hold up. The trials and tribulations the characters have been through and the outcomes they've run into can feel like they're getting a bit stale, but just when I think I'm going to lose interest, something changes or a random episode happens that pulls me right back in. That's one thing this show does amazingly well. It keeps the season length reasonable, and the standalone episodes are usually enjoyable and rather funny. Season 4 sees our heroes reconnecting, following unexplained visions, and trying to make amends for costly mistakes. There's a bunch of guest cameo appearances, and a few show favorites making returns and appearances. Overall, Season 4 was a bit more up and down than I think previous seasons were, but it was still damn enjoyable. My rating on this was a 7 out of 10. The IMDb rating on this is a 7.9 out of 10 for the season. This one is up on, the whole series actually is up on Netflix, so if you haven't seen this one yet, like I said, I encourage you to check it out and give it a chance. I enjoy the hell out of it. So yeah, that's up for this review cast. Sorry if I was a little stumbly and not really on point so much tonight, but I actually hadn't planned on doing this one tonight because I've been kind of fighting a little bit of a cold, and but I decided what the hell, I was going to do it. Thursday I will be having Pete Haas on, talking about some of the films he's been in, just movie stuff, and the usual Average Joe's Drive-In fun stuff. I would like to thank my sponsor, the Maine Cannababes. Pick up a copy of the 2018 Maine Cannababes calendar now. All the proceeds go to charitable causes. They are working on a bunch of stuff right now. You can go to mainecannababes.com to find out more about what they're up to. Again, I'd like to thank everybody that continues to support and listen to the show. You guys kick a ton of ass, and you make it enjoyable. Please go like the Facebook page, Average Joe's Drive-In Podcast. Go to Instagram, Thomas Washburn Jr., Twitter, TWJ Author. You can also check out thomaswashburnjr.com. And if you want to support me and the show, you can go to Amazon, and if you have a Kindle or you like to read physical books, pick up a copy of one of my books or short stories. The money I earn from that is pretty much getting dumped back into the show. And if you have Amazon Prime or Kindle Unlimited, you can read my books for free, and I still get paid for it. So it's a win-win. Doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out. Again, that's very cool, and I appreciate everybody that does that. But it's very important. I enjoy talking to you guys on social media, and so keep interacting, being awesome, and enjoying movies. I am your host, TJ Washburn. You have been listening to Average Joe's Drive-In, and I will see you sexy animals on the flip side.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.